All right. Good morning, everybody. Good morning, all you magnificent melon heads, and I hope you guys are well. Happy Monday. Today's December 23rd, 2024. Our top story this morning, it's not a huge story, but it's an important one to keep an eye on because I think this is perfectly foreshadowing what we're about to see a whole lot of. I'm talking about a company called iLearning Engines. Now, this is not a huge company. At one point, they had a few $1 billion worth of a market cap. All right. They've been way down over these last few weeks because Hindenburg Research did a short report back in August on this company. It basically said it is just one big accounting fraud. This company went public via SPAC. A lot of these SPACs ended up going belly up. They trade like pump and dumps. But the key here was AI Learning Engines or iLearning Engines, ticker AILE. All of their revenue came, or substantially all of their revenue came from one company, and essentially all of their cost of goods sold came from that same company, a company called Experian. And it turned out that Experian was owned and controlled by the executives of iLearning Engines. And that is called a undisclosed related third party. And it's basically the same thing that Supermicro has been doing with their undisclosed, or they're disclosed, but their third parties, CompuWare and Ablecom. The company basically owns its own producer and its own customer. And so when you do that, when you have this undisclosed third party, you can totally manipulate your earnings to make them look like whatever you want. You could have your customer, who is essentially you, overpay for your goods, which would artificially inflate your revenue stream and make your company look more valuable and drive your stock higher. Or conversely, you could grotesquely overcharge your own company in order to bleed dry your shareholders in your main company. So there's two different ways you could do a fraud here. You know, you could either prop it up to sell stock, or you could take it down to rip off your shareholders. Now, Hindenburg exposed all this back in August. It was a really good short report. It came out just a few days after their short report on Supermicro Computer. And there's a lot of overlapping themes because Supermicro did the same thing. So they released that. Now, they basically said virtually all of their revenue was fake. Now, this company, iLearning Engines, they lied to the SEC. They said there are no undisclosed third parties. So, you know, they basically committed accounting fraud and they perjured themselves when they lied to the SEC. Now, in November, the SEC announced that they were probing this company. And then shortly after this probe was announced by the SEC, this company, iLearning Engines, comes out and they say, oh, so sorry, inconvenience for you. We just got hacked. And in the hack, all of our internal emails and messages got deleted. So, you know, all that stuff you just gave us subpoenas for and all the things you want to investigate, whoops, hackers deleted it all. It's nothing we can do here. Highly suspicious, to say the least. Well, things escalated very quickly starting on Friday. On Friday, they basically come out with a press release that says, don't rely on any of our financial statements going back for the last few years. Essentially the same thing Supermicro said. Again, there's these overlapping themes. iLearning Engine said all of our financial statements since we went public basically cannot be relied on. Then they put all of their executives on leave. Their CEO, their CFO, their all of these, you know, head of this department, their chief technology officer, chief marketing officer. Every single one of them gets put on indefinite extended leave. Oh, that's not a good sign. You think? You think maybe something might be up at this company? Now, this was Friday. And of course, this morning, in a shocking turn of events, the company has filed for bankruptcy. And that just goes to show you how these companies, in the blink of an eye, like over the course of a weekend, right before Christmas, nobody's paying attention. They go from deny everything is fine, we invested ourselves, found no wrongdoing, whoops, we got hacked, so sorry, to everybody is on leave and, oh, crap, we're bankrupt. It all happened like that. And I think when Supermicro finally plays out, it's going to look very similar here. Guys, there are so many of these companies out there, so many of these companies that went public via SPACs that reach ridiculously high multi-billion-dollar valuations just because some eccentric tool from some tech company said a thing about AI of which the investors had no idea what they were talking about, but they're like, well, look, his hair's funny and he acts so crazy. He must be a genius. Let's give him a few $100 million and we'll be rich. And then it turns out half of these companies end up being frauds. They have no revenue. They have no products. They don't do anything. Well, who could have seen this coming? And this isn't the only company filing for bankruptcy this morning, guys. We got a couple of other ones. We got a hydrogen truck maker named Hyzon Motors. They just went bankrupt. Again, not a huge company, but that's another one. That's another one of these like Kathy Wood kind of stories. Oh, hydrogen trucks are going to be the next big thing. I don't really think so. Hydrogen as a fuel source, unless you're trying to do fusion, which is 50 years away for the last 50 years. But hydrogen fuel cells, sorry, I don't like it. Let me just put it that way. As much as I don't like sitting on top of a giant tank of flammable gas, I like sitting on top of a giant tank of explosive hydrogen even less. Hyzon Motors has filed for bankruptcy, $369 million of debt. And this was pretty funny. $134,000 of sales this year. They sold a truck, one truck they sold. So shocking turn of events. That company's going bankrupt. Now, we also had another one last week. At the end of the week, we were talking about how Big Lots is finally pulling the plug on all of the last of their stores, something like 30,000 people losing their jobs. Shortly after that story broke, late Friday, we had Party City announce that they are permanently closing all of their 850 stores. Party City filed for bankruptcy earlier this year. They were trying to stay operating. I guess that did not work out, and now they are shutting down everything. I don't know how many employees 850 Party City locations is, but the number is probably in the tens of thousands. So that's another one that's going to hurt your job market, and that is going to hurt your commercial real estate market. That's a lot of retail locations that are not going to be rented out now. And let's throw the Container Store in there while we're at it. That's kind of one of those like Bed Bath & Beyond satellite outfits. They're filed for bankruptcy as well. They're going out of business. Gee, it's the best economy ever. Remember the strong and resilient economy and, oh, the consumer is doing so well. A lot of bankruptcy going on in this strong, resilient economy. Also, Honda and Nissan, we got more movement on the merger front there. They're officially in merger talks now. Late last week, we reported that Honda and Nissan, and by extension Mitsubishi, were in talks for this merger. It was just a rumor late last week. Now the companies have put out press releases saying they have officially done that. And also an interesting turn of events. It turns out Foxconn was rumored to be looking into buying Nissan as well. Foxconn is hearing this news about the official talks between Honda and Nissan, and they are backing out now, not looking to be in a bidding war, apparently. And one more merger to talk about this morning. Hyatt Resorts is in talks to buy Playa Hotels and Resorts. Possible sign of a bottom, maybe, in the travel industry there, seeing mergers between the hotel resorts. Guys, we've got a lot of stories going on. You'd think it'd be a slow news day with just a few days before Christmas, but that sound you hear is God laughing while you make plans. Let's shrink my big melon of a head and see what's going on in the market today. Don't forget that like button. And if you're new here, hit that subscribe button so you can come and have your coffee with the Melon Heads, because we do this every morning. Just a reminder, guys, we will not be doing morning shows on Christmas Day or the day after Christmas this week. We will be live tomorrow, however, for the short trading day. Right now, the S&P 500 is down just 1 point here, essentially unchanged. There's been a little bit of volatility this morning, as you can see, but right now we're pretty much, we're down 2 points. Very little drop. The Dow, meanwhile, down, excuse me, the Dow is down 138 points, about 0.33%, continuing its slide that started about 2 weeks ago. And the NASDAQ is clinging to positive territory here, up 33 points this morning, or 0.16% higher. Meanwhile, the DXY continues to rip higher here, 108.17. That's up by 55 basis points, about 0.5% higher this morning for the DXY. That's going to put some downward pressure on asset prices. Looking over at the bond market, we've got higher yields once again. The 30-year Treasury, 4.743. That's up 2.7 points, almost 3 points this morning. The 10-year, 4.543. That's up about 2 points. The 2 years at 4.327, up 1.5 points. And the 1 month is at 4.318, up just a fraction of a point. Also, something to keep an eye on related to the bond market here, guys. Check out reverse repo, under $100 billion. For the first time here on Friday, it came in at $98.356 billion. So that excess liquidity sloshing around in the bond market, it continues to trend downward. It's taken its time, but we are getting to zero. Keep an eye on that one. Looking over at the commodities board, we've got spot gold is lower by about $1.50 this morning, $2,619 for spot gold, 0.06% lower. Spot silver at $29.60 here. That's up about 8.5 cents or 0.29% higher. We've got coppers lower by 0.1%. Platinum is up about 1.5%. Palladium is up 0.8%. And West Texas Intermediate crude for February delivery at $69.28. That's down about 18 cents or 0.25%. So no big moves happening in the commodity space this morning, but a little bit of anecdata. What you're looking at here on the screen is a picture taken by none other than Gigi herself while she was out this weekend. We saw this one taped to the door in the egg section at the supermarket here. Important info. You may notice a price increase on eggs at this time due to the recent avian influenza outbreak in the Midwest. We apologize for any inconvenience. So, I mean, I guess we're at that point now where they do hastily thrown together, printed out signs taped onto the glass to apologize for higher prices. And then my moderator, Mish, sent me this one this morning. USDA large egg prices paid to producers in the U.S. Midwest. And this is charted. This is showing the cents per dozen. It's at 533 cents, $5.33 here. You'll notice that this price now, the wholesale egg prices paid to producers, has now topped the peak that we saw at the end of 2022 and the beginning of 2023, the last time we had the avian flu outbreak. So even that previous ridiculous high in egg prices, we've now taken that out. You can add eggs to the list. That includes orange juice, cocoa, coffee. We're seeing these big dislocations in several locations in the commodities market, creating these shortages and these vertical moves in prices. So it's another data point to keep an eye on, guys. The inflation story, it's coming back here. Also in the commodity space, we got Bitcoin is a little bit lower again this morning. It was down over the weekend. We hit a low this morning of about 93,600 was the low. Right now, we're sitting at about 95,300 as priced on Coinbase. That's showing it slightly higher than this point yesterday. We also got some more news about Bitcoin here. MicroStrategy, once again, they acquired 5,262 Bitcoin for $561 million. So there's another $500 million in Bitcoin that they bought at $106,662 per Bitcoin. Now, that's pretty interesting there that they paid $106,600 because if you look at this chart, it was really only above 106,000 on one day, and that would be on December 17th. So MicroStrategy essentially bought the very tippy top here, this peak right here. That was MicroStrategy doing the buying, and we are down since then. MicroStrategy now holds 444,262 Bitcoin, which they've paid $27.7 billion at an average price of $62,257. And guys, one more thing I would add about MicroStrategy. They are now officially part of the NASDAQ 100. As of this morning, MicroStrategy is included in the index. So I think most of the buying that was resulted from the index funds has probably happened already. I don't think they're all piling in this morning, but that one is now official. Now let's talk about the main article here, or the main story this morning, this iLearning Engines company. So this is the Hindenburg Research report that came out back in August. iLearning Engines, an artificial intelligence SPAC with artificial partners and artificial revenue. Now, there was a lot in this report, as it typically is. Hindenburg is known for going into pretty good detail here. Now, this is the key takeaway from this report, though. This one line right here. Nearly all of the company's revenue and expenses, 96% of revenue and 100% of the cost of goods sold in 2022, seem to be run through an undisclosed related party, an unnamed technology partner. Now, throughout the report, they find that that technology partner is this company named Experion Technologies. And the problem is Experion Technologies is controlled by iLearning Engine's CEO and other executives, like the brother of the CEO. Gee, that's exactly like Supermicro, where CompuWare and Ablecom are controlled by Supermicro CEO Charles Lang's brothers. This is exactly the same scam, just on a smaller scale. Hindenburg, with the help of the Orcafin, exposed both of them. Orcafin, remember, was the original source for that Hindenburg report on Supermicro. Now, I want to show you these tweets. This all started, obviously with the August 29th short report. Now, in November, Hindenburg tweeted this one out, and they always follow up on their short reports. They don't just drop these reports and disappear. They put out an update on iLearning that they just reported that all of their audited financials should no longer be relied upon, that the SEC is investigating, and that its CFO has been put on administrative leave with an interim CFO appointed. Gee, are these good signs? Is this signs of a healthy company? No, obviously not. The company also reported that a cybersecurity incident resulted in deletion of a number of email messages and the theft of $250,000. Gee, just as they disclosed that the SEC is digging into their dirty laundry, they're like, whoops, sorry, we wiped the servers, with a cloth. Anybody remember that? Yeah, so sorry. All our systems got hacked, and all the stuff that proves we're crooks got deleted. Inconvenience for you. Sorry to hear that. To be clear, we think virtually all of the company's financials are fabricated, a near total fraud, Hindenburg is saying. Now, they would go on December 12th. All right, so now this is last week here, or about 2 weeks ago. iLearning just placed 5 people on administrative leave: the CEO, the CFO, the president and chief business officer, the senior VP of technology, and the VP of business operations. The company now has no financials and almost no senior leaders left. In other words, this company is dead. And then officially on, I guess it was on the 20th. I'm sorry. It looks like the press release was dated this morning, or the articles were dated this morning, but the press release was on Friday. iLearning Engines filed for bankruptcy. They are officially dead. Now, check this one out. It looks like it hit after the close on Friday. The stock is down 53% ahead of the opening bell here, trading at just 41 cents. Now, this thing traded at an all-time high in April of $13.90. I mean, this company was worth a couple of $1 billion. It was all fake. Literally everything about this company was fake. All of their cost of goods sold, all of their revenues, all run through this shell company in India that allowed the company to pretty much say whatever they wanted to. All of their financials were misstated. They lied to the SEC. Guys, if you're one of these people that's out there like, oh, I think Supermicro is a buy the dip opportunity. If you're one of these guys out there, this is what you have to look forward to. It's the same short seller report filed essentially the same complaints against this company, doing the same fraud. The company denied everything, of course. This is how it ends, man. So, a big company turns out, big AI company turns out to be a fraud. Who could have seen that one coming? Nobody, apparently. Board of hydrogen truck maker Hyzon votes to dissolve loss-making company as money runs out. Not a lot of dollar value involved here, but hydrogen trucks, that's another one of these tech bubble niche technologies that, people like Kathy Wood and these guys on CNBCs, they always come on. These people are stock salesmen at the end of the day. That's their job. They go on CNBC to hype up their technology in order to get people to buy their stocks. And now here we've got this one. This Illinois-based company racked up $369 million of accumulated debt and only registered $134,000 of sales in the third quarter of this year. So, I mean, $134,000, does that even buy one truck? Aren't these things like $1 million rigs? So did they even sell a truck this year? I don't understand where they got $134,000, but the board of U.S. hydrogen truck maker Hyzon has voted to dissolve itself subject to shareholder approval. It was announced late on Friday. In a statement to the NASDAQ, it said on December 19, 2024, the board of directors of Hyzon unanimously approved, subject to stockholder approval, the transfer of substantially all of the company's assets through an assignment for the benefit of creditors and the liquidation and dissolution of the company pursuant to a plan of dissolution while continuing to pursue strategic alternatives, blah, blah, blah. So basically, they're going to liquidate everything. They're going to give whatever money they get from that to their creditors. And if you're one of the people that own stock in this company, you'll probably get nothing. Hyzon Motor stock was down 32% on Friday on this news. Now it looks like they're bouncing a little bit up, 3.5%. I don't know why the stock is bouncing here, but this is dead money as well. And we got another one. First, Big Lots, now Party City, closing all of its stores, report says. This one also hit on Friday, man. Friday was a big news dump. The Friday before Christmas. Let all your dirty laundry out. Nobody's paying attention. They're too busy doing their shopping. The party's over for Party City. The 38-year-old chain with over 850 stores across the U.S. is winding down operations immediately, CNN reported on Friday, citing a video conference call with Party City employees led by the company's CEO, Barry Litwin. Friday would be the last day of employment for the chain's employees, CNN reported. Wow, they're shutting down effective immediately and firing everybody on the spot. That is without question the most difficult message I've ever had to deliver, Litwin told employees on CNN. It's really important for you to know that we've done everything possible that we could to try to avoid this outcome. Unfortunately, it's necessary to commence a wind down process immediately. So no word about how many employees are affected here, but 850 stores. This has got to be somewhere between 10 and 30,000 people are going to lose their jobs when this happens. So, guys, we're looking at higher unemployment numbers. We're looking at more job losses here. This on top of Big Lots on essentially the same day. And let's not forget this one. A smaller outfit, but the Container Store files for bankruptcy after piling losses. The Container Store has filed for bankruptcy to address mounting losses and a substantial debt load that has weighed on the chain. The retailer sells closet organizers and storage bins. They sought court protection on Sunday in the Southern District of Texas, listing $243.1 million of secured debt, according to documents. The company, which has 104 stores in the U.S., expects to emerge from the bankruptcy process within 2 months with full payment of all unsecured creditors, including vendors, service providers, and employees, according to the filing, which means it's probably the people who own the stock in this company that are going to get wiped out, but they should have enough money to continue operations and to pay off all the people that they owe. So a lot of bankruptcies announced on Friday. Now, let's talk about this one real quick. Honda and Nissan formalized merger talks and aim to combine by 2026. Keyword here is formalized. This is no longer a report, according to people familiar with the matter who asked not to be identified like every other story. This is official. Honda and Nissan took their first historic steps towards merging in hopes of creating a juggernaut that can survive aggressive competition from China that's roiling the industry. The two Japanese automakers signed a basic agreement for merger talks on Monday and held a joint media briefing in Tokyo. Honda also said it will buy back as much as 1.1 trillion yen of its own shares. That's about $7 billion. A holding company will be created to house the new entity and should be listed by August of 2026, the firm said, adding that Honda will be able to nominate a majority of the new company's board of directors. Mitsubishi Motors, which is 24.5% owned by Nissan, also signed the memorandum of understanding and will likely be part of the group, with a final decision on that expected by the end of January. So this is creating a pretty big Japanese juggernaut here. Now, this Bloomberg article had a pretty good visual in here to help you kind of understand the ownership structure here. First of all, you've got Honda. They are the buyer, the acquirer here. They are in talks to acquire Nissan. Now, within Nissan, you've got this little, this jagged little pill, if you will, Alanis. Nissan owns 24.5% of Mitsubishi. So when Honda buys Nissan, they would get at least a quarter of Mitsubishi. I wonder, are they going to buy all of it? I don't know. Now, you've also got Renault, the French company. They're a player here because they own 15% of Nissan as well. And Renault is controlled by this French trust who also owns 21% of Nissan. So this is a lot of players here. And then last but not least, you got Foxconn is hanging out over here. Apparently in this article, they mentioned that Foxconn had approached Nissan a few weeks ago about possibly acquiring a stake in the company. They had also approached Renault. So I guess they were going to buy Renault's stake in the company as well. Now, apparently, according to this Bloomberg article, now that Honda is interested, Foxconn is backing out. They don't want to get into a bidding war for this company here. But I don't really know, why would Foxconn, they're a chip maker. Why would a chip maker want to buy an auto company? That seemed a little out of their wheelhouse to me, but that's what they're reporting this morning. And last but not least, well, we got two more we're going to talk about. First, this one. Hyatt may add hotels in Mexico and Jamaica with potential Playa merger. This one just broke this morning. Playa Hotels and Resorts, their stock was rallying 11% in pre-market trading on Monday after the company said it agreed to enter into exclusive strategic talks with Hyatt Hotels in a move that would boost the larger hotel chain's presence in Jamaica, Mexico, and the Dominican Republic. So this is the, all those big all-inclusive resorts. Playa owns a lot of them. It looks like Hyatt is wanting to get into that business. The talks could result in a merger deal that would likely top the $1.2 billion market cap of Playa Hotels as of Friday's close. So Hyatt is the buyer, Playa is the buyee. Check out Playa stock this morning, ripping higher, currently up 14.5% ahead of the opening bell, trading at $11. Not quite, yes, that is the high of the year, but not quite an all-time high for this one. So congratulations to any Playa shareholders out there. And the last one I want to talk about is this one in the New York Times this morning. Iran's energy crisis hits dire point as industries are forced to shut down. Although Iran has one of the biggest supplies of natural gas and crude oil in the world, it finds itself in a full-blown energy emergency coming just as it also suffers major geopolitical setbacks. Keep your eyes on Iran over the next few weeks, guys. I don't know what's going on with that country, but they're pulling back from all of their proxy wars. They're losing, and now they can't even keep the lights on. And this is a country that sits on top of some of the world's biggest energy reserves. Government offices in Iran are closed or operating at reduced hours. Schools and colleges have moved to online only. Highways and shopping malls have descended into darkness, and industrial plants have been denied power, bringing manufacturing to a near halt. Although Iran has one of the biggest supplies of natural gas and crude oil in the world, it is in a full-blown energy crisis that can be attributed to years of sanctions, mismanagement, aging infrastructure, wasteful consumption, and targeted attacks by Israel. We are facing dire imbalances in electricity, energy, water, money, and environment, said President Mahmoud Pezeshkian in a live televised address to the nation this month. All of them are at a level that could turn into a crisis. And I don't know why they're saying could turn into a crisis. When the whole country goes dark, you're in a crisis. There is no could here. While Iran has been struggling with issues with its infrastructure for years, the president warned that the problem had reached a critical point. For most of last week, the country was virtually shut down to save energy as ordinary Iranians fumed, and industrial leaders warned that the accompanying losses amounted to tens of billions of dollars. Mr. Pezeshkian could offer no solution other than to say he was sorry. We must apologize to the people that we are in a situation where they have to bear the brunt, Mr. Pezeshkian said. God willing, next year we will try for this not to happen. Well, gosh, we sure hope that next year we'll be able to keep the lights on. Not exactly inspiring words from the leadership in Iran. Now, look, this country has spent everything they've had on freaking bombs and bullets and RPGs and drones. They have given weapons to Hamas. They have given weapons to Hezbollah. They've given weapons to the Houthis. They have started and funded wars and terrorists all over the Middle East, all while letting their own energy infrastructure go to shit. And now they can't keep the lights on. Now, look, Iran, you've got Hamas has been effectively neutralized or at least beaten back. You've got Hezbollah has been virtually wiped out. At least the leadership of Hezbollah has been virtually wiped out. And then you've got the Assad regime just collapsed last week. All of the Iranian proxies are falling apart right now. Now, the Houthis are still lobbing missiles and drones at ships. They seem to be still doing their thing. But I don't know if Iran no longer has the resources to prop up all of these wars. But you see they're losing on a lot of these fronts, or at least they're losing ground. And now they can't keep the lights on. I don't know what's going on in Iran right now, but it's dangerous. Let's just put it that way. It is dangerous. I mean, Iran, basically the whole era of modern Islamic terrorism started in Iran. It'll end in Iran. Maybe this means that regime is about to come down. But I mean, just how long can you keep people in the dark? I mean, North Korea has done it for decades. So I guess you can do it for a long time. But you know, they're saying here, people are pissed. And the only thing they can say is, well, God, we sure hope to do better next year. So good luck with that one. I just want to say thank you very much to my man, Mish the Mod, who's gifted 10 Nobody Special Finance memberships. Thank you so much, Mish, for everything you do for the channel, brother. I appreciate that. And also, if you guys received one of those memberships, tell Mish thank you in the comments. Sure appreciate that, brother. And Merry Christmas, sir. M&J also gifted 20 memberships. Thank you so much, M&J. Another one of my mod helping the channel out this morning. Thank you, M&J, for everything you do for the channel. And once again, if you guys are one of the 30 melonheads that just received a membership, be sure and say thank you to M&J. Merry Christmas, M&J. Thank you for everything you do for the channel. He says, all I want for Christmas is 50 more subs. 50 more subs. 50 more subs. If only I could whittle, right? Is that what we're saying there? Thank you so much, M&J. Yes, we're a little less than 50. It's 40 and change. We need 40 and change to get over 60,000. It can be done. And then once we get over 60,000, it's smooth sailing to 100,000. So everybody, if you're watching this, feel free to tell 40,000, 50 of your closest friends and family all about my channel. Thanks again, M&J, for everything you do for the channel. Armando Reyes says, if Americans actually knew how many trucking jobs have been lost in the last 4 years, thousands, if not a million, it's bad out there. Armando, that is a great point, and we have covered this not as much in the last few months. We did cover this a lot last year. There's a fantastic website out there. If you guys want to hear more, if you want to get like down into the nitty-gritty of what's going on inside the logistics industry, FreightWaves is one of the best websites out there. Also, their CEO, Craig Fuller, if you follow him on X, he posts amazing information. Now, according to Fuller, he calls it the freight recession. You get it, the Great Recession. The freight recession, he says it has bottomed, that it's over. Now, you still have companies going bankrupt because of things that have already happened, but he's pointing to things like spot rates in the trucking market are starting to come back up a little bit. So it looks like, emphasis looks like the worst may be behind us. We overbuilt in the logistics industry. Everything with all the shortages that happened in 2020 and 2021 and the logjam at U.S. ports and the shortage of truck drivers. A lot of people got into the trucking business that had no business getting into the trucking business. And now they're getting out of the trucking business, not by choice, but by force because they didn't make it. And that's resulting in depressed truck prices, depressed rates. Now, it looks like that we saw the worst of that at the beginning of this year, and it is starting to bottom out and turn upwards. But you're right, we're still losing trucking jobs. Every day there's another smaller outfit that's going out of business and laying off drivers. So, by the way, my hat's off to the truck drivers, guys. Keep in mind, if you're sitting there scrambling, ordering packages, and you can still get it within a day or two just in time for Christmas, that's because some guy is not home. He is on a truck bringing that stuff to your doorstep. So just think about that before you honk at a truck on the highway or before you pull out in front of a big rig and then slam on the brakes so he's got to slow down. Go easy on your truck drivers, guys. They make the world work. Thank you, Armando, for everything you do for the channel, sir, and Merry Christmas to you. Thank you, Learcy. You know him? I love that name. He says, Merry Christmas, Jack, and all the melon heads. Member for 10 months. Right back at you, Learcy. Thank you so much for the good vibes this morning, and Merry Christmas to you as well. Appreciate everything you do for the channel. Melonhead for 10 months. Break My Wallet Motorsports. The name gets me every time. Holiday Light Park empty last Thursday. Economy sucks. We did one of those holiday light parks, which, by the way, I am always so happy and delighted to go visit those things because I absolutely love going out in the bitter cold to see Christmas lights. Note sarcasm, but the kids like it. So I go. I begrudgingly go and I grind my teeth the whole time. Humbug. But yeah, the light park's empty. I can tell you the one I went to, there was a pretty decent crowd when I went to that one. So that is a useful bit of anecdata. I tell you, I wonder what we're going to hear about this shopping season. I mean, I was out yesterday doing a little bit of shopping with the kids. We were picking out some presents. There was a decent number of people were out shopping, but the place wasn't mobbed. I mean, I only waited in line for a couple of minutes. Not all the registers in the store were open. There was a few registers were still closed, and yet the lines weren't that long. So, I mean, it didn't seem like a nut house. Now, I don't know what the final numbers are going to be. I'm sure credit card balances are going to go up. I'm sure buy now, pay later debt is going to explode higher. But so far, the vibe I'm getting from retail is that this holiday season has not been particularly great, but it also hasn't been an unmitigated disaster. So just kind of meh. Appreciate the data point, Break My Wallet, as well as thank you for being a Melonhead member for 6 months, sir. And thank you, everybody, for having your coffee with the Melonheads this morning. I'll be back tomorrow morning for our regular live stream. Once again, no show on Christmas or the day after. Thank you, everybody, for the super chats and for supporting the channel. Thank you also to my Patreon supporters and magnanimous Melonheads on YouTube. You guys rock. Links down below should you feel so inclined. Hi, Mom. Hi, Dad. Love you guys. Till next time, live small and dream big.